how do you respond to the argument that there were something like 50 plus shootings, 52 people, I should say, were shot in Chicago, 30 different shootings over the holiday weekend, 7 people killed. Aren't numbers like that still a problem that your city needs to address? What more can be done to address that?
Well, I think that what we need to do is we also had a mass shooting in a Catholic school. We also have had many instances where the administration.
Okay, so already, right away, what do we see? He's going out to Minneapolis because he wants to deflect from what his own challenges are there. The question was about Chicago, buddy boy. You are in Chicago. You are a Democrat up in Chicago. Answer the question.
Has really escalated, exacerbated the violence in our country, in our cities. Trump is a dictator. I think we got to be very clear. He's trying to normalize violence.
And then we go to Trump is a dictator. Let's be very clear. Believe my words. Believe my words. I said it. And I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again until you people finally believe it. Oh, except you see, America elected him twice. Well, that we know of, right? I mean, and not to mention, we're talking popular vote. We're talking the Electoral College. And I guarantee you, if the election were held again today, they'd elect him again. Okay, buddy boy? So listen up. It's not a dictator. He's offering you help in Chicago. Sometimes part of being able to help oneself is knowing when to take help from others.
He's trying to normalize military deployment in American cities like LA, DC, Chicago, and many others to come. But what we have not seen is really a systemic investment that will actually address the core issues. I had shootings in my ward. One of them was a tragic shooting of an unhoused neighbor. So the Trump administration is saying that they're going to address the issue of unhoused residents by putting them in jails, in concentration camps.
Concentration camps? I mean, it's beyond irresponsible. And it kind of annoys me that this CNN guy just sits there like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to listen to it. Whatever. Let this guy have his moment in the sun. But he's an idiot. He doesn't belong on TV. It's irresponsible to put him on TV. And it's more irresponsible not to correct him when he's using rhetoric that, frankly, is divisive, destructive, and wrong. I mean, even Morning Joe is coming around to recognizing that Chicago has a problem. And by the way, the Democrats have a problem. If you're going to sit there and look at us and tell us, oh, there's no crime issue in DC. Oh, there's no crime issue in Chicago. Oh, there's no crime issue in LA. Oh, there's no crime issue anywhere that there is a Democrat mayor, then we're going to be able to see through that. And the Democrats are going to be backed into a corner. It's actually brilliant politics. They're going to be backed into a corner where they are stuck saying, oh, there's no problem here. And people are like, wait a second, I'm afraid to go out on the street. I'm afraid of carjackings. I'm afraid of, I'm afraid for my own personal safety. That's the reality of living on the south side of Chicago right about now. Listen to Morning Joe. Even they are like, enough. Enough is enough is enough.
Concern is you have leaders in Chicago that see this, as you say. We've been reading about this for years now. Every weekend, and maybe crime has gone down. But, we had the mayor of Chicago on last week saying, oh, we don't need any more police officers. Police officers aren't the answer. No police officers. I think he said no 5 times. You look what's happening this weekend. You look I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, and say, and I know, you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police my. You can do that in D.C. You can't do that in Chicago. But let's partner up. These are the most dangerous parts of my state. We would love to figure out how to have a partnership that's constitutional, that respects the sort of balance of federalism between the federal government and the state government. And let's work together to save lives. Because right now, just hey, nothing to see here moving along. No problem here. Hey, Donald Trump, we don't need you. And, the mayor talking about we're going to protect people's dignity in our city. Well, protect their lives. That's protecting their dignity. It would be radical for us to figure out a way to actually do what I've been saying from the very beginning on Washington. And that is seeing politicians creating partnerships that protect their people.
Yeah. But, that would actually be admitting that you can't do it on your own. And for whatever reason, these guys just don't want to admit that they can't do it on their own. But I'll tell you, it's going to reach a breaking point. I mean, already citizens are saying over and over again, hey, Mayor Johnson, we need help. Do something. Bring Trump here.
You all stood up there and said you will not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that on illegals. You campaigned and doubled down that you would not raise property taxes.
I won't raise your property taxes.
You wanted to raise our taxes $300 million. They shut it down. Now we back here for $150 million. Okay. See, this is what we asking now. Since you want to crash out, some of y'all said y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example of this right here first. Please come here first. Spend our tax dollars to go. Michael Rodriguez, you said to take Trump to court to protect these illegals. That's cool because we about to make all of y'all aldermen famous. Y'all think this house gonna ride? I think not. Flip Chicago red. We not playing.
This was going to happen to you. You got Kash Patel and Pam Bundy that you're going to have to deal with sooner than later. Then it's going to be an audit. Next, it's going to be an investigation. Then it's going to be an indictment. Conviction. That's what's going to happen to you.
Mr. Brandon Johnson, I'm up here. I am speaking right now, so I would love your undivided attention, please. I'll wait. So this just proves to you the lack of leadership that you show in this city. You can't even give me straight eye contact. Now, I'm going to let you know now, the people of Chicago, we're done with you. It is insane how we have been voting Democrat for over 60 plus years, and we've never seen a change from people like you, Lori Lightfoot, Rob Emanuel. It is insane. Chicago was 37% red. In 2020, it was only 15%. So we're waking up. So you can pretend that this isn't happening, but I know for a fact that you will not have that seat the next election.
You so strong about protecting those aliens, but you won't do nothing for the U.S. citizens.
You see, that's a common theme that you're hearing there in the streets of Chicago. In fact, we saw this with a woman that was interviewed just recently. This was actually on my Shorts feed, saying, what the heck? Why is everybody getting all this stuff? But, the people of Chicago are getting nothing. She nails it.
I'm a person that lives on the south side of Chicago, and the migrants that have come in, at one point, they were coming in. We were feeling very sorry for them because they came in at a time where the weather was cold. So we're seeing all these people in tents and all this and that. But then we find out that they're getting $15,000 in food stamps, $5,000 in cash. I work for a company, which I will not say, that they're able to come in and they're able to get internet and Wi-Fi and all of this for free because guess what? The government are paying their rent for 2 years. Why is the government paying people that came from another country rent for 2 years? Can we explain that?
Bingo. No, you can't explain it. You can't explain it. Oh, other than, I think if we're really going to try and explain it, guys, I think we're going to get back to what was that? Oh, that little thing called gerrymandering. This is their own version of it, a different kind of thing. Maybe it's a census thing. The more people you have, the more you can have representation. Was that what it's about? We don't really know. But I want to get to this other story in a second. YouTuber being called out by the New York Times. We're going to get there because Benny didn't deserve this, but we're going to talk about it in a second. First, remember who this is, this guy, Johnson, because Mayor Johnson believes in hiring, apparently, only people that look like him. For real.
Some detractors that will push back on me and say, the only thing that the mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We are the most generous people on the planet. I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? That's just how we are. And so business and economic neighborhood development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure Deputy Mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man. Budget Director is a black woman. Senior Advisor is a black man. And I'm laying that out because when you ask, how do we ensure that our people get a chance to grow their business?
So you're more obsessed with DEI stuff, right? Than actually being obsessed with stuff that really does matter. And I'll tell you, the DEI stuff, it's getting kind of old. You know how I know it's getting kind of old? Well, for one thing, it's been ruled to be unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Just ask Harvard. You also have a situation where ABC News and Disney happen to be trying to figure out how they're going to manage all of this. But then you also have this going on. You see, apparently, Joy Reid, I know you guys hate to watch her, but she doesn't get that actually this is not a good thing. Okay, so Joy Reid came out and said recently, yes, I'm DEI. I'm so proud of it. I wouldn't have the jobs or the education I have if it wasn't for DEI. I mean, this is not something to be proud of, Joy. No.
As many times as I have been called DEI or an affirmative action baby and all that, you know what I never get? Mad. Because I actually am very much in favor of DEI. I don't take that as an insult because I understand that that means that I'm just damn excellent and innovative. And yeah, I am DEI. I'm bringing diversity, and that's bringing something great. You're not insulting me. If you say, oh, you're an affirmative action person that got into Harvard, I'm like, yeah, I got into Harvard with affirmative action, and Yale, and Brown, and also, Vassar, and the University of Denver.
Yeah, and wouldn't you prefer to be able to get there, like on your own 2 feet? Wouldn't you actually think it would be more of an accomplishment if you were able to do that all on your own, Joy baby? I mean, instead of having to be a DEI card, I don't think that's the solution. I don't think that's the way there. But, this is the same lady who thinks that she used to work at Sesame Street, which I got to tell you, she was probably right on when she referred to MSNBC being just such a wonderful, wonderful place because it was like Sesame Street. And I was like, oh, for once, she may have actually gotten it right. So when you look at, say, what's happening in Chicago right now in this focus that feels very antiquated on things like DEI that we're trying to get away from, instead, we just want reality, right? We just want a chance for Americans to succeed in their own right, on their own merit. It doesn't need to be just because you check a few boxes. No. Like, those days are gone and over. And as I said, they're quite antiquated at this point, except for people like Joy Reid and perhaps the mayor of Chicago, who's trying to bring this all back. But, the mayor of Chicago, as you heard from his own residents, he's going to actually find himself out on the floor. I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to continue because, when Morning Joe, it's not like we're talking about a conservative here, asks you 5 different times, hey, would you be willing to take a little extra funding to have some more police? And this is your answer. It's game over.
So let me ask you, Mr. Mayor, those all sound like great programs. I'm curious, would you also like to get federal funding to help put 5,000 more cops on the street in Chicago? Would that help drive down crime?
Well, look, policing by itself is not the full strategy.
No, I understand that. You've talked about the other things you want, and I said those are good and important programs, but I'm asking also, would 5,000 more police officers on the street in Chicago be helpful to go along with all of those social programs that a lot of cities are engaging in and having success with?
Well, look, here's the best way I can put it, Joe, is that in the 90s when I was in high school, we had 3,000 more police officers and we had 900 people being murdered every single year in Chicago. It's just not policing alone. Of course, we want more detectives.
I know it's not policing alone, but I know it's not policing alone. You've told me everything else you want. I'm curious, and this does come down to an ideological difference between people. Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago?
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing. Look,
okay,
I'm not saying that
that's not the question I asked. My question is, and I just need a yes or a no, do you believe the streets of Chicago would be safer if you got all of those other extraordinary programs put back into place, which do have a history of being successful, if that's complemented by having 5,000 more cops on the streets of Chicago?
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers, Joe, is what I'm saying. That is an antiquated approach. I'm saying we've invested in detectives.
Mr. Mayor, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you that all of these other social programs are extraordinarily important. I just need a yes or a no, and then this will be the last time I ask. If you get all of those other social programs that 800 million that New York City does, Los Angeles, other people do with great success, would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safer?
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported. I don't believe that just simply putting out an arbitrary number around police officers is the answer. What I'm saying is policing and affordable housing. It's policing and mental and behavioral health care services. It's policing and youth employment. It's a full package. Of course, we want to make sure that our police department is fully supported. That's why I've invested in our Detectives Bureau, because what we have seen in the city of Chicago, when we solve crime, it acts and serves as a deterrent. It's policing and all of the other efforts that we're doing. Here's the last thing that I'll say to that. The federal government could work stronger to coordinate with my police department to get guns off the streets of Chicago. We've seen these coordination efforts work. Just a couple of weeks ago, the ATF working with my police department, we removed over 150 guns off the streets of Chicago that were trafficked in through Mississippi and Indiana. No one is saying that police officers don't play an incredible role in driving safety. They play an absolute pivotal role in that. But we have asked law enforcement to do too much. Police officers are being asked to be social workers, counselors. What I'm simply saying is, if we're going to build safe and affordable cities across America, the one thing that safe communities all have in common, they invest in people. We have a poverty issue in the city of Chicago and cities across America. Police officers alone will not put food on the table. Police officers alone will not guarantee a high quality education. Police officers alone won't drive down unemployment. We need all of it. The President of the United States of America and the federal government could restore Medicaid. They could restore SNAP. They could stop defunding our public education system. Here's the most important point here.
Oh my God. I can't take it anymore. I'm sorry, guys. You know what? My patience is running thin with him. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. The president is offering federal funds to help police the streets of Chicago. Your people want it. Your people need it. Mayor Johnson, get away from the DEI stuff. Enough with it. You've been listening to Joy Reid too much. And I'm sorry, but there's a reason she's not at MSNBC anymore. And it's because the woman actually wasn't that bright, couldn't think for herself, and actually prides herself on being a DEI pick and having worked at the equivalent of Sesame Street. No joke. Watch.
Of MSNBC ever
was not just a channel for a lot of people. It was a lifeline in a world in which every other network was either on the one hand, on the other hand, or right wing. MSNBC was like a respite for people. People believed that every single person on MSNBC was their personal friend. We were their friend in their head. We were the good liberal friend who they could talk with. We were a diverse, interesting crew. We had all kinds of people. We had gay folks, straight folks, men, women, blacks, Latinos, Asians. We had all these different people. So we were relatable, right? We were like Sesame Street to people.
Sesame Street. Yeah, exactly. That's part of the problem, honey.
Really, it is. I mean, so you have a group of people that are so stuck in a particular mindset, whether it be the Joy Reids of the world, whether it be the Brandon Johnsons of the world, whether it be, frankly, the Michelle Woos out in Boston, or Karen out in LA. I mean, you guys got to recognize what's actually going on. And you would think you'd want to keep your community safe. You'd think, but that might mean admitting that you couldn't do it on your own. God forbid that happen.